Hello students, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video lecture, I am going to answer questions from sample paper number 1, RK BALI 4th edition book. If you have any other edition book like the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, no problem. The questions in those edition books are still the same as in this 4th edition book. In my previous video lecture, I solved first 30 questions. In this lecture, I am going to solve the next 10 questions, question 31 to question number 40. So let's start. True airspeed is given, course is given, winds is given. Descent is initiated from flight level 220, that is 22,000, and completed at flight level 4,000. Distance 39 miles. What is the rate of descent? Correct. So you are here, let's say, and you want to descend to a lower altitude. So from 22,000 to 4,000. 22,000 to 4,000. The distance is how many miles? The distance is 39 miles. Okay, and change in descent is 22,000 minus 4,000, that is 18,000. Now we have, what is rate of descent? Rate of descent is change height divided by time. Now in order to find time, we must use the formula speed distance time formula, which is distance divided by ground speed. Distance is 39 nautical mile. Ground speed is not given to us. We can find that out. TAS, course, winds. So TAS is 197. So TAS is 197. True course, true track is 240. Winds 180 at 30. So ground speed is 180 knots. 180 knots. So write it here. Now the time taken to travel 39 nautical miles in at 180 knot speed will be 13 minutes. Will be 13 minutes. So substitute that here. Rate of descent is change in height in terms of feet per minute. So you're going to write 18,000 per minute. How many minutes? 13 minutes. So 18,000 divided by 13 is equal to 1385 feet per minute. 1385 feet per minute. So what is the rate of descent? Approximately 1400. That is the closest option. Next, question number 32. Aircraft is flying on ILS 3-degree glide path which passes over the runway threshold at a height of 50 feet. The DME range is 18 nautical mile from the threshold. What is the height of aircraft above the runway threshold? Above the threshold of the runway. So let's say this is your runway, and the glide slope passes at a height of 50 feet above the runway. Something like this. Okay, 50 feet above the runway. So it is 50 feet above the runway. The distance is 18. Plane is at what height? Plane is, we have to find that out. We have to find how high the aeroplane is above the threshold. Now threshold is this. So first we will get height of aircraft up to here from this point, and then to that height we will add this another 50 feet so as to get total vertical distance of aircraft from the threshold of the runway, not from 50 feet above the runway, from the threshold. So this will be your step 1. Angle is 3 degrees. Glide slope. So now we are going to use 1 in 60 rule formula, or we can use trigonometry. We will use both. So tan of 3 degree is opposite side. Opposite of 3 degree is this side, which is the height of aircraft above 50 feet from the runway. So x. Adjacent side, which is 18 nautical miles. So x will be tan 3 into 18, which is 0.9433 nautical miles. Convert that into feet. Now 1 nautical mile is 6,000 feet. So 0.94 nautical mile will be that multiplied by 6,000, which is 5,660 feet. Okay, 5,660 feet. So this is a one possibility, that aircraft is 5,660 above 50 feet above the threshold. Using 1 in 60 rule, which says angle equals to distance off track. Distance off track is this side. So we have to find that out. Distance gone is 18 into 60. So x is equal to 18 into 3 divided by 60. That is 0.9 nautical miles. Again multiplied by 6,000. You get an answer of 5,400 nautical, 5,400 feet. 5,400 feet. So with trigonometry, we got an answer of 5,660. Using 1 in 60 rule, we got 5,400. Okay, pretty close. Now when you add 50 feet, this extra 50 feet, what do we get? We get an answer of 5,660 plus 50, 5,710. And if we add 50 here, we get an answer of 5,450. So that means we are getting an answer between 5,500 approximately to 5,700. So 5,500, 5,700. So the options here are 5,522, 5,472, 5,422. So it is safer to select option A because it is between 5,500 and 5,700. So let's select option A. When the CG is at the forward limit, aeroplane will be extremely unstable and require small elevator control. Extremely stable require excessive elevator control. Extremely stable but require small elevator control. Now this is your aircraft. Let's consider this is your aircraft. Okay, this is your aircraft, and every aircraft has two limits: forward CG limit, aft CG limit. Forward and aft CG limit. So this is the forward limit, this is the aft limit. Okay, and CG can be anywhere between these two limits. It keeps moving as your flight progresses. So let's say CG is right in the center. Now as given in the question, if the center of gravity moves to the extremely forward position, what will happen? When it moves to the extremely forward position, the aircraft will start pitching down due to the center of gravity weight pulling it downwards, right? So when CG is right in the center, the aircraft will remain level flight. Now when CG starts moving forward, the forward part of the fuselage will start becoming heavier and heavier. Okay, so now if the CG is at its most forward limit, somewhere here, let's say. So the nose of aircraft or the forward part of this fuselage will become heavier and heavier, and it will start pitching down. Okay, so that means your aircraft will become nose heavy. Whenever center of gravity is at its forward limit or is in the forward range of the limit, your aircraft is considered stable, because the natural tendency of aircraft should always be to fly downwards. Correct? A stable aircraft is always nose heavy, tends to fly downwards so as to, when engines fail, automatically the nose of your aircraft should pitch down, okay, because in order to prevent a stall from happening or excessive angle of attack from happening. Okay, so when your aircraft starts pitching down, it will start flying downwards. It will meet a new relative airflow which will pass over its wings. Lift will be generated, extra lift. Again, aircraft will start pitching up because of that lift. Again, it will start pitching down. So this is called stable. A stable aircraft will again go down, automatically come up, go down. So nose heavy is what happens. Nose heavy is your aircraft happens. Is what your aircraft happens when the center of gravity is at its forward limit. Now, in the event when you have to pitch up this aircraft deliberately, let's say in case of flaring, you want to pitch up a little bit. You want to establish yourself in a climb attitude. In that case, again, you will have to pitch up your aircraft. So when your aircraft is nose heavy, it tends to remain in the nose down position. So you have to apply extra load, extra inputs to the control column of your aircraft in order to bring it from nose down position to an upward trajectory position. Okay, so you require large elevator inputs. So the correct answer here is extremely stable, but will require excessive elevator inputs or control to change your pitch attitude. Correct, so option bravo. Question number 34. By adding basic empty mass. So there is basic empty weight or basic empty mass. That is the starting weight of your aircraft. Okay, the most starting initial weight of your aircraft. When you add variable loads to this basic empty weight, what are these variable loads? Variable loads are nothing but crew baggage, catering, food, water, all that. So when you add variable loads, you get dry operating mass. So basic empty mass plus variable load equals to dry operating mass. So it's written here, by adding to the basic empty mass fixed equipment like catering, safety rescue equipment, flyaway kit, crew, we get dry operating mass. Very simple question, very factual, important question. Next, this is a numerical. Now maximum ramp mass, maximum limit at ramp is 63,060 kg. Maximum structural takeoff mass 62,800. Similarly, landing mass 54,900, zero fuel mass 51,300. Aeroplane's fuel is loaded according with the following requirements. Taxi fuel 400 kg, trip fuel 8,400, contingency reserve 1,800, alternate 1,100. If dry operating mass is so and so, determine maximum traffic load that can be carried on this flight if departure and landing airfields are not performance limited. So, step 1, like I always say, do watch my payload lectures. I have made a dedicated playlist for payload numericals. I have solved all the payload numericals from equilibriums. I have made a separate playlist for that. So do watch all those 100, questions that I have solved. So when you practice those questions with me, you will become very proficient and comfortable solving payload questions. You will also find me solving payload questions in other video lectures like other sample papers videos that I have uploaded. So in all these video lectures, I have always maintained the same procedure. Step 1 and step 2. In step 1, you make 3 columns, one for takeoff, the second for landing, and the third for zero fuel mass. Now in the takeoff mass column, you write a value which is the lower of maximum structural takeoff mass or performance limited takeoff mass. Now in this question, you do not have performance limiting takeoff mass, you only have maximum structural takeoff mass 62,800. In the landing mass column, you are going to write landing mass given in the question. It can be maximum landing mass or performance limited landing mass. If both are given, you are going to select a value which is the lower than the other. Plus, you are going to add trip fuel or flight fuel to that. So in this question, performance limited landing mass is not given to you. But you have structural landing mass 54,900. Trip fuel is 8,400, that is 8.4. So 54.9 plus 8.4 is 63.3. In the zero fuel mass column, you are going to write maximum zero fuel mass plus fuel on board. So maximum zero fuel mass as given in the question is 51,300. That is 51.3. Fuel on board in your aircraft is nothing but your takeoff fuel. What is this takeoff fuel? This takeoff fuel is fuel available in your tanks. Fuel available in your tanks when aircraft is lined up with the runway ready for departure, ready for takeoff roll. Okay. So now the fuel available in the fuel tanks at the start of takeoff run will be all the fuel components like uh, all the fuel components except taxi fuel, because you will have burned all the taxi fuel in moving your aircraft, taxiing your aircraft from the parking position to the runway position. So you're going to subtract that fuel and then you're going to add remaining components of the total fuel. That is your trip fuel, alternate fuel, reserve fuel, contingency fuel, and other kinds of fuel. So here, fuel requirements are taxi fuel. So eliminate or omit out taxi fuel. You are going to add trip fuel. You are going to add contingency, reserve fuel. You are going to add alternate fuel. Okay. So what is trip fuel? It is 8,400. What is contingency and reserve? 1,800. What is alternate fuel? 1,100. So 8,400 plus 1,800 plus 1,100 is 11,300. So you are going to write 11.3. So 51.3 plus 11.3 is 62.6. Now out of these three takeoff values, you are going to select only one takeoff value and you are going to load your aircraft up to that takeoff value limit and you are going to depart. So out of these three values, you are going to select that value which is the lowest of all. So 62.8, 63.3 and 62.6. So 62.6 is the lowest of all this. So that becomes your regulated takeoff mass. Next, step number 2. Step number 2 is use direct formula, which is regulated takeoff mass equals to dry operating mass plus takeoff fuel or fuel on board plus payload. Now what is regulated takeoff mass? 62.6. ड्राई ऑपरेटिंग मास इज 34,930 या फिर 34.93. टेक ऑफ फ्यूल इज 11.3. Payload is we have to find out. So payload will be equal to 62.6 minus 34.93 plus 11.3. That is 46.23. So answer will be 16.37 or 16,370 kg. So option A will be the correct answer. Next, question number 36. What is zero fuel mass for the following single engine aeroplane? Standard empty mass is given. Optional equipments like 35 pounds pilot plus front seat passenger 300 pounds. Cargo mass is given. Ram fuel, lock fuel 60 gallons. Trip fuel 35 gallon. Fuel density is given. Let me check whether I have correctly written this question or not. Okay, standard empty mass, that is basic empty mass, is 1,764 pounds. Optional equipment is 35 pounds. Pilot plus front seat passenger is 300 pounds. Okay, so pilot plus front seat passenger is 300 pounds. Cargo is another 350. RAM fuel is nothing but your block fuel, 60 gallons. Trip fuel 35 gallons. Fuel density 6 pounds per gallon. Now what is zero fuel mass? So your weights like start like this. Your basic empty mass or standard empty mass plus variable load. Variable load means what? Your crew, the baggage, the standard equipment, and all that. So when you add this to basic empty mass, you get dry operating mass. Next, from dry operating mass, you will get zero fuel mass when you add payload. When you add payload. Again, next. From dry operating mass, you will get operating mass when you add fuel on board, takeoff fuel. Okay. From operating mass, you will get takeoff mass. Similarly, from zero fuel mass, you can also get takeoff mass. How? So operating mass plus payload is your takeoff mass. Zero fuel mass plus fuel on board takeoff fuel gives you takeoff mass. So there are two ways to get takeoff mass, like this or like this. The third way is useful load, that is dry operating mass plus useful load gives you takeoff mass. What is useful load? Useful load is nothing but fuel on board plus payload. Now we want to find zero fuel mass. Now you can find zero fuel mass if you know DOM and payload. So DOM plus payload is zero fuel mass, or takeoff mass minus fuel on board will give you zero fuel mass. So there are two ways. So now here we have basic empty mass 1764 pounds. So I'm writing it here, 1764 pounds. Variable load is 35 pound. Pilot is also a variable load, but passenger is a payload. So combining them, you get 300 pounds. And cargo is 350. And crew plus this is 300. Cargo, pilot plus front seat is 300. Okay. So what is DOM? DOM is 1764 plus variable load, that is 1799, and zero fuel mass is DOM plus payload. So 1799 plus 350 plus 300, that is 2499. That is option C. So correct answer is option C. Now here we have been given fuel, trip fuel, block fuel, but that is useless because we want to find zero fuel mass. Zero fuel mass means zero fuel, no fuel at all, no usable fuel at all. So option C. Next, landing mass, zero fuel mass, takeoff mass are given, DOM is given, trip fuel, reserve fuel is given. There are no performance limitations. So good. What is maximum permitted takeoff mass? That means we have to find regulated takeoff mass and traffic load. So again, follow the same steps. Step 1, 3 columns, one for takeoff, the second for landing, the third for zero fuel mass. Now in the takeoff mass column, you are going to write takeoff value 155. In the landing mass column, you are going to write landing mass value 125 plus trip fuel. What is the trip fuel here? 17,000. So plus 17. Next, zero fuel mass, 108.5. What is fuel on board or takeoff fuel? Takeoff fuel will be equal to trip fuel, which is 17,000, plus reserve fuel, which is 5,000. So 17,000 plus 5,000 is 22,000. So 22. So 125 plus 17 is 142. 108.5 plus 22 is 130.5. So now out of these three takeoff values, you're going to take off with regulated takeoff mass, which is the lowest of all of them, which is 130.5. Next, step 2, payload. So payload will be equal to your takeoff mass minus DOM plus fuel on board. So 130.5 minus DOM is 82,000. Fuel on board is 22. So 130.5 minus 104. That is 26,500. 26,500. So correct option is 135 and 26,500. So option A is the correct answer. Next, question number 38. Loads must be adequately secured. Okay, they must be adequately secured in order to prevent excessive G loading during landing phase, avoid unplanned center of gravity movement and damage to aircraft structure, to allow steep turns. So option Bravo. All your cargo must be secure. They must be tight. They must be fixed in position. They must not move during your journey. Okay, in your journey. Okay, so unplanned CG movements will alter your elevator pitch control movements that you will have to give. Okay, your fuel burn, etc. So it's very important that everything is secured in its place to ensure safety, safe operation of flight, profitable flight. Reduction in airspeed of aircraft will cause an air-driven artificial horizon to indicate what? Very important practical question. When you start flying, note this phenomenon. Whenever you decrease your airspeed, what happens to altimeter? Correction. What happens to artificial horizon? When you increase your airspeed, when you accelerate, what happens to artificial horizon? Okay, so you note that, note those remarks, note those observations when you start flying, or if you have already flown, recollect those memories, or if you are not able to recall, so whenever next time you fly, pay attention to these small details. So whenever reduction in airspeed happens, your artificial horizon will show a descent, a pitch down attitude. Your aircraft will, even if your aircraft doesn't pitch down, it will erroneously show a pitch down attitude with a left hand turn. So pitch down attitude with a left hand turn. When you add speed, when you increase your airspeed or when you accelerate your aircraft, your artificial horizon will erroneously indicate a climbing turn to the right hand side. So very important. So this concludes our lecture. I hope you have understood all the 10 questions that I have solved in this video lecture. Keep practicing, keep revising, keep studying. Okay, don't give up. If you have any doubt, need any help, let me know in the comment box. I request you all to share this video with all your friends who are also preparing for the exams. Subscribe if you haven't yet and share this video with your friends. Don't forget to do that. Hit the like button if you have liked this video lecture. Best of luck.